When are things going to get better? Seriously, when am I going to be able to talk about something positive? Because the amount of depressing stories, specifically with regards to the UK, is relentless. Today, Chris Whitty, how the hearing is still going on, I do not know. Like, even that in itself is frustrating. Chris Whitty talking about how, oh yes, perhaps we did go a bit too far. I actually haven't listened to any of it because I can't, but I've just seen the one bit about him in the press. Perhaps we were a bit too strict on the outside rules and with children and no. Yeah, you think? Again, plebs like myself could tell within a week that COVID was not how China was portraying it to be, with people falling down in the streets. And we had one of the world's leading epidemiologists, I think he's an epidemiologist, called Professor Ioannidis of Stanford University, who told us that the IFR rate of COVID was less than annual flu for those under 70. So even then, we should have gone, okie dokie, this is a flu. Those with vulnerabilities need to stay home, eat well, rest, take some exercise where you can, have some vitamin C, D and zinc, and the rest of you, crack on. Because apart from about 1 or 2 hospitals in London, hospitals up and down the country were practically empty. And everybody I knew, kids got a snivel, or they might have felt a bit rough. I had something for 5 days, felt nauseous, felt tired, felt like I had very burny eyes. Was very weird, but it wasn't as bad as some vomiting bugs I've had or glandular fever. There was no reason to take away education from kids, childhoods. No reason at all. If somebody wanted to keep their distance, fine, but there shouldn't have been one rule. Masks have never worked. And then all the experts I listened to were saying you should never do a mass vaccination program within an epidemic. It's just going to make it worse, bring in new variants, yada, yada, yada. And lockdowns would never work, but they would just prolong the pain. Those people, some Nobel-winning experts, were cancelled on social media. Anyway, my mum sat in a car crying, unable to say her last goodbyes to her husband, who was dying of Alzheimer's, but they told her it was probably too risky for her to go into the home. Yeah, there's so many stories like that. That is just so unforgivable. I generally can't go there. And I keep praying that these people will be held to account properly, and the same people who are involved in the horrific COVID vaccines. But probably, like everything else, it will get brushed under the carpet and nothing will happen. And the rest of us will be left with trauma because of their insane decisions. Then we've got Chagos. MPs voting to give away Chagos, a really important military area for the UK and others, USA. And we're having to pay 30 billion for the joy of giving away that territory and weakening our position and looking beyond inept and weak and gullible. And the fact that, you know, we've got Starmer, who's friends with the Mauritius legal advisor, and the UK Lord Hermer, is it the legal general, all worked at the same firm at one point. And now China is trying to push to buy part of Chagos for 10 billion in cash. Yeah, none of this sounds dodgy at all, does it? Completely fine. It's not like China kind of increase their presence in that part of the globe and have any, you know, dodgy kind of strategies that they might implement at some point. Yeah, it's not like China or anything to worry about, is it? They're not like putting kill switches on energy infrastructure or buying steel and water or spying a government or, you know, buying up universities or, you know, blah, blah. Yeah, all fine. Nothing to see here. And then it really does feel like the speed of destruction in this country is going at full throttle at the minute. We've just had our biggest spend month ever in September outside of COVID. The country is going broke, and yet the UK have just announced their biggest spend for Ukraine military aid, I think around £5 billion. And if you've noticed as well, just as Trumpy is trying to do his best in bringing peace to Russia and Ukraine, there's a real concerted effort by the usual EU Western lot to try and derail those peace talks. And putting UK military in Ukraine as peacekeepers, do me a favour, that is not a peacekeeping mission. And now there's been attacks on oil infrastructure in Hungary and I think Romania. You know Nord Stream wasn't Russia, don't you? Yeah. The country is in trouble and it's getting hard to be positive.